A story by Ben A. They said Balagan Market slept with one eye open, but no one ever asked what it saw in the dark. The scent of burnt suya still hung in the air as Kola counted crumpled naira notes beneath his dim fluorescent bulb. His stall, one of the largest on the street, overflowed with fabric rolls, rich lace, shiny ankara, stiff as pride. People had called him chairman since he expanded from a tiny corner table to 3 full stalls. He wore the name like his gold chain. Loud, swinging, and smug. Our last story was complimented by one of our United States viewer. Thank you a lot. We hope that President Trump gets to watch our stories. Let's get back to the story quick. Earlier that afternoon, he'd sold fake wax print to a blind woman, swapping her money with torn bills and laughing as she thanked him. His 2 apprentices had watched silently, eyes down. In this market, Kola had boomed, hustle no get pity. Nahu sharp past day win, if you dull you lose. The gossip came during twilight, the hour when market sounds fade into whispers. An older trader, her headscarf faded like a well-worn secret, mentioned a veiled woman who only appeared after midnight. She buys quietly. Pays in coins weigh no day again. But cheat her, and your goods go spoil. Kola chuckled. Na spirit go day shop for lace? A beg, make una no disturb my brain. Yet as the last vendors packed up and the generators groaned into silence, the wind in the corridor shifted. Unnaturally cold. Even the rats refused to scurry. Kola looked up once, sensing movement, but saw nothing. He brushed it off and went back to his notes. By 12:47 a.m., the market was dead quiet. A lone mosquito whined around his head. He stretched, took a gulp of lukewarm malt, and reached beneath the table to pull out an old wooden box, the only thing he kept from his mother. Inside, wrapped in plastic, was a folded white and blue wrapper. Clean. Untouched. It smelled faintly of camphor and memories. He stared at it for a long time before closing the lid and locking it again. He didn't notice when the bulb began to flicker. A soft shhhhhh echoed near the back wall, like feet brushing over sand. He froze. Hello, he called out, forcing confidence into his voice. Silence. Just the sound of a paper bag falling in the next stall. He stood up, moving to the entrance of his shop. The corridor outside was empty, but colder than it should be. He narrowed his eyes. Something white moved behind a nearby curtain. He stepped out, heart thumping. Nothing there. As he turned back to enter his stall, a sudden sharp chill raced down his spine. The kind you don't feel with your skin, only with your soul. His eyes darted around. Everything looked the same. Then, without warning, he felt it. A hand, soft, cold, and unseen, brushed his right shoulder. He spun around. No one. Only the white and blue wrapper on his table, now unfolded. Mama Tijani had not slept in her stall for over 30 years, not since the night her daughter vanished without a trace. But tonight, something in the air whispered to her bones, and her bones never lied. She had stayed behind to count kola nuts and tie them into calabash sets for the morning buyers. Her stall was tucked behind the spice corner of Balagan Market, far from the main fabric lines. Quiet, forgotten, and perfect for an old woman who simply wanted to be left alone. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the kerosene lantern on her table flickered. Then, without warning, it went out. Not from wind. From presence. She did not panic. She had felt this before. The scent came first, old rain, burning palm oil, and something deeper. The scent of justice too long buried. She reached for the small cowrie pouch she always kept beneath her blouse and held it tightly against her chest. Then, the silence changed. It wasn't just quiet, it was listening. From where she sat, she could see the corridor that led to the central stalls. Nothing moved, yet the shadows were thicker than usual, hugging the wooden stalls like vines. Mama Tijani leaned back slowly and whispered, "So you've returned." The veiled woman appeared without footsteps. No sound. No warning. She simply was. Her long veil brushed the dusty tiles as she walked past Mama to Johnny's stall, not sparing a glance. Her form glided rather than stepped. No wind stirred her wrapper, and yet it moved as if underwater. Mama to Johnny didn't move. She didn't dare. The last time she saw the veiled woman, it was the night her daughter disappeared. Back then, she had ignored the signs. Laughed off the old warnings. And when her daughter screamed in the night, no one believed her, not even Mama to Johnny. By morning, her girl was gone. But that night, she had seen the symbol burned into the roasted maize sack, 3 curved claws wrapped around an eye. The same mark now carved into the floor behind the veiled woman's path. As the spirit passed, every rat in the market scurried for shelter. The dogs outside the gates began to howl, not bark, howl, long and mournful like they were remembering something ancient. Then she stopped, just for a moment, in front of Cola's stall. She didn't knock. She didn't speak. But a faint crackling echoed from inside. Wood splitting. A table creaking. The wrapper Cola had once hidden now shone faintly with a glow that came from no source. And then, silence again. The veiled woman vanished into the corridor as if swallowed by the shadows themselves. Mama to Johnny leaned forward, her hands trembling. She marked the time on a torn paper beside her lantern, 2:13 a.m. She knew what it meant. Someone had been weighed. Someone had been found wanting. And someone would not see the morning. Cola woke to the low drone of flies. At first, he thought it came from the alley. But as he sat up and rubbed his eyes, he realized it was coming from inside the stall. He rushed to the padlock and twisted the key with shaking hands. The wooden door creaked open, and a wave of foul stench slammed into him. He staggered backward. Inside, his fabric rolls sagged like soaked paper. Once stiff ankara now drooped in long, wet folds. The vibrant patterns had bled into brown sludge. Some rolls were covered in a greenish film. The air buzzed with flies hovering around the shelves like mourners at a wake. "What kind of madness is this?" he whispered, stepping inside. He touched a roll. It collapsed in his palm like damp ash. No leak in the ceiling. No holes in the roof. And yet everything, every single item, had been ruined overnight. He turned to his drawer to check his earnings. But something else caught his eye. A mark, etched deep into the wooden wall behind the counter. 3 curved claws wrapped around a wide eye. Not drawn. Not painted. Burned into the wood like a brand. The center of the eye shimmered faintly, even in the dim light. Cola's chest tightened. His throat felt dry. He closed the drawer, locked it, and pulled the stall door shut again. Outside, the market was beginning to stir. A few early traders walked by and slowed at the sight of his drawn face. "What's that smell?" a woman asked. Another whispered, "I heard something visited the market last night." "Check your stalls." Cola forced a smile and waved them off. Spoiled water tank. Already handled. But when his apprentice, Toby, returned with a bag of thread, he paused at the entrance and covered his nose. "Sir, the fabrics, shut up and bring the mop," Cola barked, even though his voice shook. Toby didn't move. He stepped inside slowly, staring at the clawed symbol on the wall. "That mark wasn't there yesterday," he said. Cola avoided his gaze. "They're saying, she's back," Toby continued quietly. "The one who only comes at night." Cola exploded. "Nonsense. This is Lagos, not a ghost town." But Toby had already dropped the bag. "My mother warned me. Spirits walk where lies are sold." He turned and walked away. Alone now, Cola pulled out the wooden box beneath the shelf. The only thing he never sold. His mother's cloth. Her final gift. He opened it. The wrapper was unfolded. No longer white and blue, it was soaked in a thick, black substance, like engine oil. The smell was worse than the rest of the stall. And burned into its center was the same clawed eye now haunting his shop wall. Kola stumbled back, mouth open, unable to speak. He realized then, this wasn't just about fabric. Something had touched his past. And something had decided it was time to collect. Kola's feet carried him to the small white building tucked behind the mosque in Idioro. The hand-painted sign read, Prophet Elisha, Revealer of Secrets. He didn't care about reputation anymore. He just wanted answers. Inside, the air reeked of sweat and kerosene. The prophet's eyes were sunken but sharp. Kola told him everything, except the part about the veiled woman. He wasn't sure he could say it out loud without trembling. The prophet listened, silent. Finally, he said, "You have cheated something that doesn't forget. Until you return what you stole, or confess to who you betrayed, it will continue." Kola scoffed. Confess to who? The poor? The beggars? They're scattered. Some are probably dead. The prophet's voice didn't change. Then so are you. Later that day, he visited a street herbalist who promised spiritual soaps and anti-curse powder. Kola paid triple. At sunset, he poured the soap around his stall and dusted every corner with white ash. But the smell remained. And the mark was still on the wall. That night, exhausted, Kola fell asleep on a wooden bench beside his mother's cloth. His chest rose and fell in shallow breaths, as if even in sleep, something pressed on him. He dreamed. In the dream, the market was full again. Voices called out, traders laughed. His mother stood in her old stall, folding wrappers. Her face was calm, distant. "Mama," he called. She looked at him once, then turned and walked away. But as she moved, oil dripped from her wrapper. Thick and black, staining the tiles. The sound it made was like cloth tearing, slowly. He woke with a gasp. It was 11:49 p.m. His lantern was still burning. Everything was still. Except one of the fabrics on the shelf had collapsed in on itself, as if crushed by a heavy, invisible hand. He swallowed hard, stood up, and did what he thought might save him. He lit 7 candles. Arranged them in a circle. Placed the wrapper in the center and knelt. "Please," he whispered. "I didn't know. I swear. I just wanted to survive." The air shifted. The flame on each candle turned blue. The heat disappeared. It was cold, unnaturally cold. He heard it again, the soft shhhhhh of fabric moving. She entered. The veiled woman stood in the doorway, motionless. Her veil fluttered even though the air was still. Her voice, when it came, was barely a whisper. But it filled the room. To cheat the poor is a wound. But to cheat your blood is a curse. Kola's lips trembled. I didn't mean," she lifted the veil slightly. And what he saw shattered him. It wasn't just her face. It was his mother's face, twisted in grief, eyes glowing faintly, not angry, but disappointed. "You sold my cloth for lies," she said. Kola fell, screaming. The candles blew out. Darkness consumed him. By morning, Balagan Market looked almost normal. The sun climbed lazily over rusted rooftops. Doors creaked open. Plastic chairs scraped against cement. Traders yawned and prayed, unlocking stalls with a soft clink of keys. Kola's shop remained closed. Someone made a joke about it, something weak and nervous. No one laughed. The whisper of his disappearance had already faded into the rhythm of survival. Goods needed to be sold. Rent needed to be paid. Lagos had no time for ghosts. Still, those who passed his stall walked just a bit faster. Mama Tijani sat beneath her umbrella, peeling groundnuts with wrinkled fingers. She watched the others pretend they didn't notice. But she noticed everything. The way people avoided his shop. The way the dust near his door never settled. Then came the boy. Small, barefoot, about 7. He wandered the market mid-morning with a tray of cold sachet water. His lips were cracked. His shirt was torn. He approached a fresh-faced trader near the entrance, a man who had just set up his stall the week before Kola vanished. The boy asked for water. "Please, just one. I'll pay later." The man didn't hesitate. He slapped the tray from the boy's hand. "You think this is charity?" The boy's eyes welled. He bent to pick up the scattered sachets. One had burst and was seeping through the dirt. No one helped him. Not even the trader's apprentice, who looked away in shame. That night, a sour smell spread near the new trader's stall. By morning, his tubers were crawling with black ants. His entire yam display had caved in, as if eaten from the inside out. And then someone saw it. Faintly scratched into the dusty concrete beneath the trader's chair, 3 curved claws around a watching eye. Again. The whispers returned. This time, they were quieter. Mama Tijani didn't speak that day. She simply rose, wrapped her scarf tighter, and walked slowly to Kola's stall. She stood in front of the locked door and whispered something no one could hear. Then she walked away. And that was when it happened. Just before dawn the next morning, a meat seller arrived early. He wheeled his cooler past Kola's stall, and stopped. Someone was sitting inside. The door was open. The man sat still on a short wooden stool, head bowed. His clothes were torn. His shirt was open at the chest. His hands rested on his knees like a sculpture. The meat seller blinked. It was Kola. Alive. Pale. Thin. Silent. He didn't react to the noise. Didn't look up when greeted. Just sat there, staring at the floor. By sunrise, a crowd had gathered. No one spoke too loudly. Then someone gasped. A woman stepped forward and pointed. There, across Kola's bare chest, were 3 burned claw marks wrapped around a glowing eye. Not fresh. Not bloody. Branded. Alive or dead, no one could say. But one thing was certain. He had been returned. And he was no longer alone. No one spoke to Kola. He sat in the stall from dawn until dusk, unmoving, unspeaking. He never ate. Never blinked. Only breathed, shallow and steady, like someone who had made peace with something the rest of the world feared. His mother's wrapper was folded beside him, clean again. Bright white and blue. No longer soaked in oil, no longer stained. It glowed faintly at night, like moonlight trapped in cloth. By the 3rd day, the market buzzed with unease. Some said he had been bewitched. Others whispered he had died and returned, but left his soul behind. A few older traders avoided that side of the market altogether. But business had to continue. Lagos had no pause button for fear. Then came the confrontation. A loudmouth trader named Sunday, who had always mocked the old ways, marched up to Kola's stall just before noon. His hands were stained with dye from cheap fabric. His voice rang through the aisles like a bell made of iron and ego. So this is the new trick, eh? You vanish for a week, come back looking like a scarecrow, and now everyone's supposed to be afraid of you, he scoffed. Kola didn't move. Sunday stepped into the stall. Answer me, ghost man. Or should I slap you awake? The crowd held its breath. Then Kola raised his head, slowly. His eyes were hollow. Not blank, not blind. Just ancient. Like something older than time was peering through them. He opened his mouth. Not wide. Just enough to speak. His voice came out like dry leaves scraping across stone. She sees you. That was all. Sunday froze. A gust of cold wind blew through the market, though no trees moved. And then his stall, 2 rows over, burst into smoke. No fire. Just heat and ash. His fabrics crumbled to dust. His cash box melted like wax. Within minutes, there was nothing left but a wooden frame and a pile of scorched receipts. Sunday dropped to his knees and began to scream. But Kola had already lowered his head again. Mama Tijani arrived shortly after. She walked straight into the stall and stood beside him. She didn't speak. Just placed her hand gently on the wrapper and nodded once. "I warned them," she whispered. "But now you are the warning." Kola didn't look up. But his lips moved. Justice does not retire. She simply waits. That night, the market closed early. No one lingered. No one argued over price. Even the rats moved quietly. Before leaving, Mama Tijani turned once more. Kola sat alone, eyes closed. But as she stepped away, she heard him again, soft, steady, eternal. "She does not sleep. And I will not leave." And so, Balagan Market slept with one eye open. Because now, justice had a chair. Justice had a face. And justice had a voice. Dear viewers, what lesson did you pick out from the story? Fire up the comment box. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for amazing stories.